If you're trying to achieve consistent and manageable growth within your trade business in 2026, these are the top questions, concerns, comments, etc. that we hear at Tradie Web Guys, along with our answers to those. Number one, we already have a system. Why do we need another one? Well, this is truthfully a question that I would be asking you. If you already have a system, then why do you need another one? Our system is about driving consistent, manageable growth. And if you haven't been able to achieve that in the past, it's most likely because the system that you currently have, whether it's documented or not, it needs to be optimized and improved in order to help you hit your targets. As a business owner, this really should be music to your ears. This is a fun comment that we hear quite a bit. If you can get me the leads, I can close the jobs. Now, this might be true. However, let me tell you this. Number one, and you're going to hear me say this a couple of times, volume does create friction. For better or worse, the more leads that you get in, the more friction will happen. Now, there's also a significant difference between word of mouth and referrals against cold traffic. So essentially what happens is once we deploy the sales and marketing system into your business and we start generating you a lot of conversations, inevitably friction occurs due to the volume. So this does require a system, and it is very different the way you would handle these conversations than it is what you might be familiar with dealing with referrals and word of mouth. So getting the leads does not always solve the problems. And truth be told, sometimes when clients do get leads through cold traffic, they do get disheartened because they're not following the process on how to handle cold traffic leads. We get a lot of not yet clients coming to us saying things like, well, how many leads can you get me? And although they might be trying to stump us there thinking it's a clever question, it's actually the wrong question. The real question is, how many leads do you actually need? And more importantly, at what cost are you willing to pay to get those leads? So essentially, when we're designing these systems, we need to look at what is manageable for you and your business. And then we need to design the sales and marketing system to deliver the amount of leads that you require to hit those targets. Now, keep in mind that this number will scale accordingly with the size of the business and along with hitting different targets along the way. So it's never really a done thing. It's always a work in progress. But again, going back to the primary question here, don't ask how many leads we can get you. Ask how many leads do we actually need to hit our targets. So summarizing the question again, it's not about how many leads we can get you as an agency. It's more about how many leads do you actually need to hit your targets and then designing the system around that. Another thing that we hear a lot of our clients say is, I can manage the leads myself. I always have. Now, this may well be the case, but again, volume does create friction. And when you have more and more of these leads coming in, it becomes a lot of work. It becomes an insane amount of work, actually. And to give you some idea of how much work, when we put human beings in clients' businesses, we call them our sales executives, they will attempt to contact our clients' leads up to 30 times over the first 7 days. Now, that's a lot of work involved in doing that. And we also from time to time integrate tools like AI, but truth be told, the results are much better when we have humans in there doing it for reasons that you've probably experienced yourself. So I guess conceptually, where you've handled leads yourself and you always have in relation to referrals and word of mouth and so on and so forth, that's great. But as soon as we start turning on the cold traffic tap, there is a very deliberate system that demands a lot of attention that needs to be followed in order for you to maximize the most amount of conversions from your marketing. One of the biggest objections that we get is, I don't have the money for this. Now, this is super important that you guys understand these couple of things. First and foremost, you don't need to have the money. You need to allocate for the money. I'll circle back to that in a sec. Second of all, as part of that conversation, when you decide to go down the route of leveraging marketing in order to scale consistent leads into your business so that you can close more jobs and you can kind of predict your growth, you will need to understand marketing budget. Now, essentially what that means is you need to spend the money to make the money. So when we're talking about allocation, it's not a case of you having the money in the bank available, ready to go every month for marketing. You need to make sure that within the delivery of your product and service offering, that there is an allocation applied that you can put straight into a marketing fund that will always fuel the machine looking forward. And that way you never run out of money for marketing. Go and read Profit First if you're not familiar. It talks a lot about making sure you have allocations in the relevant areas within your business. This is a big one. We see it all the time. And if you can overcome that obstacle and you can understand the allocation dynamic, you're going to be a lot closer to your goals. It's not uncommon for clients coming to us saying, listen, all of this stuff is great, but I need to be on site doing the work and managing the team. Now, this might be true for now, but you are going to have to wear some different hats, even if it's for a short period. You can't do this on your own. And a big part of this conversation is you being comfortable with the fact that change is necessary to get a different outcome. And change can come in different forms: tools, team members, systems, AI, automation, all of these different things. The point is, at some point in time, you may have to stop being the guy out on site QCing and looking after your trades, and you might have to be the guy on site, for example, doing site visits that have been booked into your calendar so you can close more work. From time to time, we get clients asking if we can turn these campaigns on and off. What I say to that is this whole system is designed around helping you achieve consistent and manageable growth. Turning things on and off will not help you achieve that. So to achieve consistency in a manageable manner, we need to make sure that we have consistent marketing, and we need to make sure that we are having strategic conversations around when the right time is to put a new person on, or when the right time is to put our prices up, or whatever it might be. That is a super important thing for you to understand, and the one thing that can help you scale consistently and accordingly. You can turn things on and off. However, you'd be better off deploying a solid sales and marketing system within your business that can help you forecast the growth and the things that we've just mentioned, so that you don't have to worry about turning things off and on and off. The conversation is more about how do we consistently set milestones so that we're striving in the right direction. Although we don't hear this a lot, I have seen it kill a few deals in the past at the cost of the businesses that we could be working with. My team won't like this. Look, as a business owner, I can tell you this much. I don't really care if my team doesn't like it. Like, change is uncomfortable, and humans by nature do not like change. So it's inevitable though. If you want a different result, you have to do things differently. And in most cases, it's not they don't like it, it's that they don't understand it. And so it's important that when we are communicating to our team members what we are looking at achieving here, they have the zoomed out version with the bigger picture. And that often and should come in line with things like them making more money as a result of the business making more money, so on and so forth. So you really do have a responsibility to your team to be striving in the right direction. And not everyone is going to like that. Sometimes that might mean letting go of people. Sometimes that might mean attracting new people. Either way, you've got to make sure that you're the one who's making the decisions there, and you're making the right decisions for the greater good of everybody and all the stakeholders involved. I would say 90% of the businesses that we work with complain that they're not good with technology. And to that, I will say this: you don't need to be good with technology. You need to be responsive to change, and you need to be adaptable. Now, if you want a different outcome, again, you've got to do a different thing. Technology exists to make your life easier, not to make it more complicated. If it's something that can help you simplify, then do that. If it's something that doesn't help you simplify, then don't do that. When we're deploying technology with our clients, we're doing things that can help improve and simplify all facets of sales and marketing. So you need to be receptive to that. We'll occasionally get clients come back and say things like, I'm not really comfortable with that. Can we do this instead? For example, I'm not really comfortable with those ads. Can we run these ones instead? I'm not really comfortable with that homepage or that landing page. Can we do this instead? And what I would say to that is this: for the last 14 years, we've been working with trade businesses specifically on these things. And over that time, as you can imagine, we've accumulated a lot of aggregate data on what works and what doesn't. And you might be familiar with the saying, you're green and growing or ripe and rotting. What that basically means is change comes from discomfort. Sometimes you have to do different things in order to get a different result. And that is not always a comfortable feeling. So we've been testing and refining these processes now for a very, very long time, and we know what works. So when we're coming to you with ideas and concepts, they might not be comfortable, but probably most likely because you're not familiar with them. Once you start doing these things, it becomes more and more comfortable, and the process starts delivering the results. And then, of course, that's job solved for you. So it's not necessarily hard. It's just something a little bit different. And again, humans, we are resistant to change, and this is change. So if you want the outcome, do the thing. And if you don't, just stay where you're at. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed that episode. Please, while you're here, subscribe to the channel and give this video a like. Now listen, if you are a trade-based business and you work in projects, roofing, bathrooms, kitchen renovations, home renovations, solar installations, that kind of thing, we would love to be able to showcase you as our next success case. Insane return on ad spend over here. We're talking 2,000, 3,000, 5,000, 13,000% return on ad spend week in, week out with some of our clients. And we would love to put you in that picture. So please head across to tradie.wiki/YT for YouTube. Tradie.wiki/YT for YouTube. I look forward to chatting to you soon. Enjoy the next episode and thank you for all your support.